and divided by rivers? Assyria, of course, had both the Tigris and Euphrates running through it, but the description fits America as well. I once read a book called River Horse, which chronicled the author's river journey across the entire North American continent from east to west in a small boat, portaging only short distances. The same thing is possible going from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. The description continues.
All inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth, when he lifts up a banner on the mountains, you see it.
The whole world is commanded to take note of something, and only by sorting out the pronouns can we perceive what that is. I believe the he here should actually read he, capital H, that is, Yahweh, and you refers to the subject nation being described. The key here is the word translated banner. According to Baker and Carpenter, the Hebrew nes means a banner, a standard. It refers to a symbol or sign representing a cause, a person, or God. It indicates a pole on which to display something, a tragedy that could serve as a warning or sign, or a symbol to rally around. It's the same word used for the pole lifted up in the wilderness for the healing of Israel, as in Numbers 21, verses 8 through 9. Which is in turn a picture or symbol of the cross. That's the Greek staros, or pole, of Christ. Check out John 3:14 for that. What Isaiah is saying, then, is that the sacrifice of Yahshua will be seen. That's the Hebrew raha. Beheld, perceived, considered, approved, and taken heed of by this nation, and all inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth will identify this nation with that banner or standard. Again, America is a perfect fit. Never has a nation's history been shaped by its taking heed of the cross as much as America's. And even though we have fallen from the pure faith, the rest of the world still identifies us with this symbol. It's the very reason Muslims call America the Great Satan. They perceive us as a Christian nation, thus infidels and enemies to the cause of Islam. If only it were that simple.
And when he,
that's Yahweh,
blows a trumpet, you,
America,
hear it.
In other words, Isaiah's subject nation will hear and respond when Yahweh blows the trumpet. As we saw in chapter 8, God's shofar, blown at the Feast of Trumpets, is the signal for his saints to join him in the air. I believe this is referring to the rapture. And if I'm right, America is being characterized as the nation who, more than any other, will hear, the Hebrew word is shama, to hear intelligently with attention or obedience, to call or gather together, consent, consider, or give ear to, the trumpet calling Yahweh's people home.
For so Yahweh said to me, I will take my rest, and I will look from my dwelling place, like clear heat in sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest.
I love the way the New Living Translation puts this.
I will watch quietly from my dwelling place, as quietly as the heat rises on a summer day, or as the dew forms on an autumn morning during the harvest.
God will unfold his plan quietly and calmly in his own good time. He doesn't panic. He doesn't get excited. He knows exactly what he's doing and why. He has his own timetable, and he's right on schedule. Significantly, he has also indicated that the rapture of his saints will occur during the harvest, in the autumn of the year, at the Feast of Trumpets. Okay, so what is he doing? First, ask yourself if you see America in these verses. You do? Then hang on to your hat. Here comes the bad news.
For before the harvest, when the bud is perfect, and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he will both cut off the sprigs with pruning shears, and take away and cut down the branches. They will be left together for the mountain birds of prey, and for the beasts of the earth. The birds of prey will summer on them, and all the beasts of the earth will winter on them. Isaiah 18:2-6.
That's right. America is going to get pruned like an unruly and diseased grapevine. Yahweh is going to take some things away from us that we thought were promising. He'll do it for our own good because He loves us, but that doesn't mean it won't hurt. Birds in Scripture are a common metaphor for evil. What Isaiah seems to be saying is that the evil influences around us will prosper at our defense, benefiting from our national misfortune, perhaps taking the opportunity to kick us while we're down. Beasts is the Hebrew behemah, meaning mute. It's therefore normally used of dumb animals like cattle. These behemah take over where the birds left off, surviving the winter on the branches Yahweh has pruned. This seems to mean, at least to me, that those who don't have a voice, those whose place in the world is quiet service, will somehow be nourished by the results of God's pruning. Why would the vine dresser cut off sprigs that already have grapes budding on them? Isn't any fruit good fruit? No, not if the branch is endangering the vine. If it's diseased, or if it has merely grown so large the vine can't support it, can't bring it nourishment without compromising the entire plant, then the vine dresser would be wise indeed to cut it back. In the previous chapter, Isaiah put it all into perspective.
Because you have forgotten the God of your salvation, and have not been mindful of the rock of your stronghold, therefore you will plant pleasant plants, and set out foreign seedlings. In the day you will make your plants grow, and in the morning you will make your seed to flourish. But the harvest will be a heap of ruins in the day of grief and desperate sorrow. Isaiah 17:11.
Who among us is so blind that he can't see that America has picked up a nasty blight? Who would deny that we as a nation have forgotten the God of our salvation? If Isaiah 18 is talking about America, and I firmly believe it is, then we should be prepared to see our nation get pruned back severely. To use a more familiar metaphor for us non-agricultural types, America has a cancer that's growing out of control and threatening to kill our entire nation. Yahweh has already tried all the standard non-invasive procedures and nothing has worked. So now He must operate, surgically remove the tumors of sin from our land. It won't be pleasant, but if that's what it takes to save us, may God's will be done. But notice something else. When is Yahweh going to get out His pruning hook? Before the harvest. It's possible, even probable, considering the remarks made in verses 3 and 4 about trumpets and harvests, that this means America is going to get clipped back before the rapture, which is aptly described as a harvest of souls. Why? Because He is not willing that any should perish. God wants us to have the biggest harvest possible, a bumper crop. To do that, the vine needs to be healthy. A moment ago, I flippantly called this the bad news. It's not, really. God cares enough about us to attend to our needs, even if it's painful. That's good news. It could be worse. He could rip us out by the roots like He did Sodom, or abandon us to our own fate, as He apparently has today's Europeans who have abandoned Him. But no, the divine vine dresser cares enough about America to snip and prune and cut away at the unhealthy growth until the nation that once heeded His banner regains her vitality. That being said, even if the pruning begins before the church is harvested, the ultimate harvest of which Isaiah speaks is surely inclusive of the final separation of God's people from those who choose to reject Him at the final coming of Yahshua, years after the rapture. Indeed, that very picture is used in one of Christ's parables, where the kingdom of heaven is compared to a field in which both good grain and weeds are growing. Yahshua explained,
He who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so will be the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness will be cast into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of the Father. He who has ears, let him hear. Matthew 13:37 through 43.
If the harvest referred to in Isaiah 18 is ultimately the end of the age, then America can be expected to get pruned back any time between now and the end of the tribulation, and more vigorously as the day approaches. America has gotten used to the idea of having God's blessing and protection 24/7 because we held the world's moral high ground, such as it is, for so long. But in case you didn't notice, we left that place of our own accord when we took God out of our public life. In a nation that prides itself on freedom of speech, it has become practically illegal to say we're one nation under God. Another symptom for our illness has been our uneven handling of our support for Israel. Sure, we're her staunchest ally, but at the same time, we've all too often demanded that she not defend herself against Islamic aggression, threatening to take away with our left hand what we've given with our right. What precisely do I mean pruning? No, I don't think we're going to lose California and Arizona back to Mexico, as poetic as that might be. September 11th, 2001 showed us all what can happen when Yahweh removes his protection from us for one brief moment. We lost 3,000 of our best and brightest, along with a symbol of our financial preeminence and national pride. The experience reminded some Americans that there is a God, though God himself had nothing to do with the attack except refusing to miraculously prevent it. Hurricane Katrina is another example of what it might mean to get pruned. It's painful surgery on a national scale that has the potential to make us stronger in the end by waking us up to the reality of our situation. The question is, how many branches will America have to lose before we're healthy again? Remember what I said about the evil birds and the beasts of the earth being nourished in turn by God's pruning? As far as 9/11 is concerned, the cause of Islam, its irrational hatred for Christians and Jews, was fed for a while by this attack on our nation. But now it's the time of the behemoth. I am one of those beasts, these formerly silent ones. The treachery of Islam started me on a crusade for truth that has led me step by step to this present work, and I am not alone. Before we leave the subject of America, I'd like to consider one more verse, the one immediately preceding the passage we've just explored. The concept is judgment upon the nations, but if the shoe fits...
Then behold, at evening tide trouble, and before the morning he is no more. This is the portion of those who plunder us, that is Israel, and the lot of those who rob us. Isaiah 17:14.
Pop quiz. Who has plundered and robbed Israel in the last half-century? Oh, that's an easy one, you say. The Egyptians, the Syrians, the Jordanians, and the Palestinians. In other words, the Muslims. Are you sure? Oh, they've tried, all right, but every time they've attacked Israel, they've lost far more than they gained. Yahweh has seen to that. So why aren't Israel's borders any bigger than they are? After all, at one time, they controlled all of the Sinai Peninsula and half of Lebanon. Why did they give these strategic buffers back so they could be used as launching pads for invasion?